Welcome to the Standard Age podcast, conversations exploring the lives of entrepreneurs and those instrumental in growing companies. This podcast serves as a communal supplement to Standard H, my automotive-inspired line of apparel and accessories. Though popular among car and watch collectors, the elevated range of basics made in Los Angeles are certainly fit for many other discerning individuals. I invite you to visit standard-h.com to explore the latest releases, while the Substack exists for further deep dives behind the brand. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. Now let's get to the show. Matthew McDonough and I were first in contact towards the beginning of the pandemic. Though online only at first, we quickly connected in person over a group dinner, watch gatherings, and of course when he hosted me on his podcast, Spirit of Time. Matt and I often text about a wide range of subjects, but usually rooted in watches. Having him as a guest on this show is long overdue, so I'm thrilled to share my conversation we had recently over Zoom. Full disclosure, we don't chat much about Matt's day job for privacy and company policy reasons, but it's always an insightful conversation with him nonetheless. Matt gravitates towards military watches and the odd military expression as well, and I thoroughly appreciate his technical approach to watch enthusiasm. I hope you agree. I'm your host, Wesley Smith, and you're listening to the Standard Age podcast. Matt McDonough, welcome to the show. Let's talk about your last name.
Right on, dude. Well, just I'll allow myself to be conflated with Neil McDonough. That's usually what I tell people. Like, hey, if you know that actor and know how to pronounce his name, it's the same spelling, same pronunciation.
Yeah. What is this? It sounds like it could be like Gaelic or Irish or something.
Yeah, it's an Irish name. Yeah, for sure.
Got it.
Yeah.
Now, what's sort of the history? By the way, I just noticed the magnet behind you, of the Standard H logo, or is it a sticker? I don't even
No,
remember.
you know what? This is a sticker. So, dude, this is just some ephemera that I put on like one of those foam boards.
Oh,
And
right.
it just hangs there as a background for when I'm doing my own pod episodes or what have you. So as long as we're
Sweet.
here, let's look at this, right? So we got the old like Rennsport 1971 Porsche,
Yep.
the
James Bond
the
Omega.
James Bond ad, right? This is the classic. This is my favorite. This is, I don't know if you can see it from the distance, but it's the
Is it a
I think prob-
Panerai?
no, you know what? This is the Rolex Submariner ad. You know, where it's the submarine commander from the U.S. Navy. He's
Okay,
at
it
the
looked like
attack periscope, and you can just
all,
kind of see his Submariner kind of over his wrist there.
yeah, all I see is sort of like what appears to be a crown guard, similar to a Panerai. It's very difficult to see from here. And then it looks like, is this an F-15 at the top left?
Yeah, that's an F-18, the Super
F-18.
Hornet. Yeah,
Okay.
so
I didn't
who
notice the
sent me that?
tails being like this.
Yeah, I had so my podcast guru is the guy from Fighter Pilot podcast, Vincent.
Right.
And he kind of showed me how to set everything up and equipment and what to do, to monetize and stuff like that.
I
We
see.
didn't we didn't take that step, but he was sort of I guess my podcast godfather.
Sure.
And he had a pretty big successful podcast in his own right.
Nice. Yeah. I think you switched me on to that, and I think I heard a couple of episodes of it, which we'll definitely talk planes and such, or we can now actually, because what sort of got you down the path of sort of this militaristic approach to, well, not only, I can't really say hobby, because you can't, can the military be a hobby if you're not in it? Like,
I don't. Yeah, you know what? I think the short answer is no, but the long answer is yes, definitely. I mean,
yeah.
there's the kind of the ephemera and the history and
Hmm.
the collectible stuff. As a kid, I was that kid, who at 8 years old, like the switch was flipped and I knew what I was going to do, and I pretty much ordered every detail of my life from like age 8 or 9 to 18, 19 years old to getting into the service, either a service academy appointment or ROTC, which is what I ended up doing.
Okay, cool.
And then went down that pipeline to be a pilot. And at some point pretty early on in the process, the military found that I have a very functional heart valve defect.
Got it.
So that kind of took me out of that, but I never really lost the bug. I'd always done the research and the history and stuff like that, and I follow feeds that are like that.
Hmm.
There's that guy Mosquito Boat down near you in San Diego.
Okay.
and it's all about like the vibe and the history and the aesthetic. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of in the watch world, there's a lot of overlap with that. So
Yeah.
that's not how it really got started. The watch interest for me, it was more like flying. My dad was a flight instructor. I flew a lot as a kid,
Oh, cool.
as a young guy, and we always got the this is not like a household name, but you've seen the Breitlings, I'm sure, with the dial. It's a co-branded dial, AOPA, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association.
Oh, I haven't seen those actually.
You know what? You totally have. It's just visually, they blend in so well with the dial for decades
Okay.
that I think people are accustomed to thinking of that logo as part of like the Breitling brand identity.
Oh, it's that common.
Yeah, it's quite common. If I point it out to you, you'll be like, oh yeah, of course.
Got it. Got it.
On
Got
the
it.
Navitimers and whatnot. But
Sure.
I always used to get these magazines in the 80s, and the Navitimer was usually the full cover ad on the back, or full color ad, I should say, on the
Hmm.
back cover.
Hmm.
And then eventually it became the Navitimer or the aerospace, and that's really where I started seeing watches.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what got you into the army stuff or the military stuff at, such an early age? Like, was your dad retired military
No,
or
no.
what did he do?
So he was an operating engineer, so big, like heavy equipment
Okay.
operator. Um, there's
In
an excellent,
California?
yeah. So he was in the army as a young guy. He enlisted in the army in the mid '60s when Vietnam was heating up.
Okay.
He started college, and in his first semester, scenario worked out that it looked like he was going to get drafted.
Right.
So at that time, if you chose to enlist in the face of the draft, right, you'd serve longer, but you could kind of, within reason, you could kind of pick your job.
Hmm.
So he enlisted with the idea of doing, combat engineers, thinking he would be safer in Vietnam, right?
Oh, wow.
If
Yeah.
he chose that MOS,
Yeah.
and for his sins, no, not. I'm joking, of course. They sent him to
Yeah.
Germany for his 4-year enlistment.
Oh,
So he
wow.
was, yeah, he was in one of the, I think the second armored, third armored, but one of the big armored divisions in Germany, and that's where he served his time. And yeah, that was his military experience.
So he was in and out in four.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then is
totally.
he from California originally? And so he returned there?
Yeah, yeah, Central California. Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
farming community
Yep.
north of Fresno, south of
Sure.
Sacramento. So think like Modesto, up that
Yeah.
area,
Yeah. Yeah.
Turlock.
Okay. Now, where
Yep,
where were you born?
Illinois.
Oh, whoa. Okay. So
Yeah.
how'd that happen?
So I'm
Not the
short.
birth. I meant just the location.
Yeah, we'll see when mommy and daddy love each. No, yeah, dude. So my birth parents divorced when I was an infant, and
Oh,
so my
wow.
mom did kind of the single mom thing and moved to California. And she met like the guy that I refer to as my dad, right? He was my
Oh, I
stepdad for
see.
a minute, but he adopted me pretty early on.
I got it.
Yeah,
Cool, man. That's
yeah.
awesome. Now, are your folks still around?
No,
Oh,
yeah.
unfortunately. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fair bit older than you,
Well,
and
that's okay.
yeah, yeah. both
These things
both of
happen.
my parents have passed on. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Gotcha. Well, cool. Well, you're not in Pasadena, right? Like where are you
I'm
exactly?
in the area.
Okay.
I'm always a little coy, but like
Yeah, sure, sure.
so somewhere between say Glendora, Pasadena.
Okay.
I live and work in various parts of that
Right.
stretch.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, can we talk about your job at all?
You know what? Not to be a jerk, dude, but very minimally.
Okay.
I work in biotech. How about
You're
that?
in biotech. You're on the road.
Yes,
But it's more now correct me if I'm wrong. You're more of a manager than a rep, or are you more of a rep than a manager?
kind of in between, but I would
Okay.
describe myself as a rep. Yeah, I mean
Okay.
that's the day-to-day job.
Okay. Where do you see the industry that you work in improving?
I think there's a lot more transparency. Pricing in this country in particular. I mean, that's a huge bugbear issue for many people, whether you're a patient or a consumer,
Hmm.
of healthcare or medication. So that I think is a good thing. And then, frankly, just the quality of therapies are better and delivered faster than
Other
anytime in
countries.
history. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you
Yeah.
mean just compared to ourselves, you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, and to the extent that like this country, so I work for a company that is um, not from the US.
Okay.
So, kind of make it that what you will. But, we're all of there's a great deal of like national alignment. I mean, it's basically the West, whether
Yep.
you want to call that US or Canada or Latin America, Western
Mhm.
Europe.
Right.
And, they're all, the development is kind of different therapies and different types of therapeutics and whatnot is happening across the entire world now.
Hmm.
Information is shared all over the place. A lot of research, that we're using is being done simultaneously in Japan and in China and in Mexico, all over North America, parts of Europe, all at
Sure.
once. And it's all rolling into one big, I'm trying to think of a term that'll make sense to a layperson, but
Hmm.
it's all rolling into one big sort of aggregated, information repository.
Sure. Okay, so where do you see it being better? Is there any room for improvement?
Yeah, you know what? I think not so much. I really kind of don't want to get too much into the healthcare thing because it's such a hot topic.
Yeah, sure.
But from where I stand, I think one of the things that probably would be beneficial is if we went back in this country to something like indemnity insurance. Most of what we think of is sorry about that. Let me just silence that.
That's okay.
Most of what we think of, I think, is health insurance, love it or hate it, in this country is really just prepaid healthcare.
Hmm.
It's some kind of prepaid healthcare as opposed to true insurance, and it's just for a variety of reasons. It's one of the inflationary drivers,
Hmm.
for healthcare.
Hmm.
So it's not a transparent market. It's a market with a lot of perverse and competing incentives,
Sure.
and it's extremely difficult. Even for somebody who works in the industry, either in healthcare delivery, as a provider, or in administration, or in some kind of an ancillary thing like in pharmacy, or in development of therapies. It's really hard to wrap your arms around it
Yeah.
to see what the problems are.
Hmm.
um, the the quality of the care, if you can get it and can afford it, is excellent, but there's a lot of hoops to jump through for some people. Other people have like no hoops, but are heavily subsidized, and
Yeah.
they maybe have to wait a long time.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of imperfection.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the industry? Like
Oh,
since
25
college?
years.
Okay.
No, I did a very similar job, but in logistics and transportation, airline industry. That was like my first thing.
Oh, who'd you work for?
So, I worked for FedEx.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I have a buddy who's a
Yeah.
pilot for FedEx, actually.
Yeah, there you go. And then, prior to that, I was working for a now defunct and absorbed by American Airlines passenger carrier called America West.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. They were based out of Phoenix, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for me, that's going back to like 1990.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like in North Carolina, where I grew up, we had Piedmont Airlines, which then got swallowed up by US Airways, which
I
then
remember
became,
that.
yeah. I used to love that logo. Actually, some of their planes that American uses still today will have a Piedmont logo on it, and which is really cool because it was sort of more of like a regional, jet,
Yeah.
but it was great, man. Like
Oh,
my
yeah. I totally remember that stuff. As
yeah.
a kid, for the summers, especially when my mom was in kind of that single mom phase, right? When
Hmm.
summertime rolled around as a young kid, you know, you need to have a kid programmed,
Hmm.
when they're not in school.
Hmm.
And, for a single mom working hard during the summer, that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
So you just packed me off and I'd go, and live with my grandparents or, aunts and uncles back in Illinois or in Florida for an entire summer.
Oh, wow.
So I would, fly around as a young kid by myself. This is probably like circa 1980.
Okay.
And I flew on all those regional airlines,
Yeah,
back east
sure.
and the southeast. Yeah, Piedmont for sure. Yep.
Do you remember Eastern Airlines?
Of course, Eastern and Western.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
remember Western. I remember Northwest Airlines,
Northwest. Yep.
which I
Yeah.
think became United, if I'm not mistaken.
I'd have to go back and check out the history of
It
that.
was
But
Continental.
yeah, Continental absorbed. Continental is now United.
Yeah.
Yep. But
I think they
all
sort of
of those,
adopted Continental's logo to some degree, right? With like that globe.
yeah, I would say so. Yeah. And the way they kind of merge those two sort of visual identities.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and this is
That's
stuff, dude, that I can easily go down the rabbit hole. Like I don't have it right to hand, or do I? No, I guess I don't. I have like a stack of like, letters, like the right here, you can't quite see it, but a bunch of the Blancpain letters du Brassus, and my collection of Hodinkee magazines. I also have like a stack of the old in-flight magazines when they used to do
oh
that back in
wow.
the day,
Yeah.
from Pan Am and
Oh
from
sure.
American. And dude, you know what some of the best is? Braniff.
Re-
Braniff was this really interesting, like way ahead of its time. Think if the personality and quirkiness of Southwest Airlines,
okay.
but an international airline.
Wow.
A big carrier, based out of Texas. And they had a ton of interesting, cool shit. I don't know if I can say that,
Yeah,
but
you can say whatever you want.
yeah, they had a ton of really cool shit, and they were way out on the cutting edge of like marketing and social presence.
Well, see, that's kind of how I viewed sort of Virgin in a way, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's
Um,
valid. A
yeah,
good
I think
comparison.
Branson's always doing something slightly edgy, pushing not really pushing the envelope, but definitely, quirky maybe. Um,
Yeah, you know what? If where I would see a lot of similarities from like Braniff in the late '60s and the early '70s would be those famous IWC ads from the late '90s.
oh, right. Yeah, of course. That were abundantly sexist, but also funny.
Yeah, yeah,
Looking back, you're kind of like, oh my God, how is
it's
it they made that?
it's like cigarettes and booze, logos on Formula One cars. It's like we can't
Hmm.
do that anymore, but also
Yeah.
it was really kind of awesome that they did that.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean,
Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, you know, it's of the era, right?
yeah, for sure.
What okay, so I kind of like peg you more as like a military watch guy, like a dive watch guy, which I want to get into. Like, but you're an Omega guy, but you're also like a Blancpain fan, I know. So what was the first watch that sort of tipped you over kind of the tipping point, I guess, into like what becomes, pardon the expression, a deep dive into watches, right? Like, I mean, there's got to be some sort of the tap root, if you will.
Yeah. So, well, the first watch that I became really interested in, or I became aware of, as I said, were the Breitling watches. And
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
was something that I would come across all the time, organically working in the industry as like a 19, 20, 21-year-old kid.
Hmm.
I worked with the pilots in operations. And so I would see what they would wear, a lot of Rolex, a lot of Breitling. Um, but I didn't have the means, or the wherewithal to do that. Then I think when I first started actually shopping for a watch, it was right after I got married. And my wife, who knew I was interested in it, was like, hey, we spent all this time and energy and money picking out like rings for me. You have a very basic ring. Why don't we get you a watch?
Oh,
In
that's
our first
sick.
like year of marriage. Yeah. And we had a few bucks because we were living pretty small, didn't have kids. And she was about to start, a grad school kind of a thing.
Hmm.
Um, so we were like, hey, if we don't do it now, we're going to be having the belt pretty tight for the next couple of years. So let's get a watch. Cool. I loved it. And the thing that I wanted, there were two or three watches that I was really aware of, like in the mid to late '90s, and that was any number of Tag Heuer divers. They were everywhere.
So you went the
Uh,
diver route with tag as opposed to racing.
I did. Yeah. I was only really starting to kind of get into being aware of racing beyond, watching the Indy 500 at Memorial Day,
Sure.
which I did every year as a kid, but I just wasn't that into it. When I started working at FedEx, we sponsored CART.
Oh, right.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you, yeah, if
Yeah.
you remember that,
Yeah.
but that was kind of like a IndyCar on steroids, and a
Hmm.
lot of Formula One people in it, or
Yep.
people who had been in Formula One. So like you'd go see a race, and it would be like at Long Beach, uh, like Gilles de Ferran and Juan Pablo Montoya,
Yep.
and oh man, the Franchitti brothers,
Yep.
Dario Franchitti, and those were the kind of the caliber of racers then.
Yep.
But I was not thinking of tag Hoyer as an extension of that. I wasn't into that, but it was really honestly what it came down to is the watch that I thought I really wanted at the time was a 22, either not the 2254. I guess it would have been the like the later or mid range time wise Bond Seamaster references.
Okay.
And I was aware of those watches. My boss at work had one. He had like a steel and gold midsize, really cool. But it was one of those things where really honestly, dude, I ended up with the Tag Heuer, the 4000 as my first watch because I couldn't stretch like the extra $600 for the Omega,
I see. Yeah.
at that stage of my life.
And was the
And
Omega really on your radar because of Bond or because of diving?
I would say no because of Bond. And the fact that my boss had one, so I would see it every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was pretty cool. We had two guys in that office when I was working as an account executive at FedEx. My boss, who had that Omega, and then our guy in the international sales, who had a Submariner, like an
Cool.
area appropriate sub,
Sure.
early mid '90s.
Yeah.
And those were sort of the two things I was aware of. And yeah, like I said, it literally came down to, hey, I couldn't quite stretch to that, or I couldn't justify spending the 2000
Yeah.
on the Omega
Yeah.
versus maybe 12 or 1300. And the sales guy was like, well, hey, take a look at this, and he showed me all the Tag Heuers. I was like, yeah, this is great for what I want. And it was super super era appropriate, dude. It was the kind of the porthole looking
Hmm.
aperture.
Yeah, totally.
They had their own kind of version of rider tabs, two
Hmm.
tone, right? Steel and gold, silver dial, pewter kind of dial.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was my watch for probably 6 or 7 years. And then I started kind of discovering the Fora, in the mid aughts. And then it was just Katie bar the door, dude.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool. What was the most recent pickup?
You know what? Doxa sub 300, my first foray for all of sort of my interest in dive watches. I don't do it actively anymore. I haven't in a long time, but I am a rated diver.
Oh, okay.
And so I've just always kind of had that interest as a watch that's pretty utilitarian.
Hmm.
And I like the idea of a timing bezel, even if I'm not diving.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's probably one of the only like mainstream dive watch brands, especially because it's pretty approachable price wise, that I had
Yeah.
never touched.
Oh,
I've
wow.
done
That is funny.
Seiko and Grand Seiko and Omega and Rolex, and yeah, you mentioned Blancpain and all of that, and have never hit the Doxa. So
Well,
I
and
got
also
this.
like you are, you've already mentioned you're a little older than I am, but like so you are sort of that like era that Doxa was sort of on the forefront, I would say, for divers.
Oh,
Like you
totally.
you would totally see them in dive shops, in other words, you know?
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's
Totally.
interesting that it never like piqued your interest or like somehow came across your desk, so to speak.
I'd seen them, and I was aware of them, but I just never got one. When I
Oh,
was
funny.
diving, it was kind of early in the era of the dive computer, and the
Hmm.
watch that I would wear to go for like a swim or to go underwater would be and I don't remember the reference, but it was like an analog digital Casio dive watch with
Oh,
this,
okay.
rotating bezel, honestly, pretty weak loom.
Okay.
And yeah, but it was like a bronze gold colored dial.
Hmm.
Yeah, I wish I still had it. It was a pretty decent watch. I wore it, to work a lot as well.
You could probably
But
find one on eBay, I imagine.
oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I think it would just be a question of finding, researching the reference to find it and then finding one.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
right. Do you have a favorite dive spot?
Well, dude, I dove just basically West Coast off of California.
Okay.
So, like beach entry dives, Laguna, Anacapa, Channel Islands,
Yeah.
Catalina, Anacapa, probably my favorite. And then for, easy like beach diving, Cabrillo.
Oh, National Monument?
Yeah, you just you go down there to, past the battleship there in San Pedro.
Yeah.
And there's like a little, I don't even know what you'd call it. It's,
Oh, I thought you were
there's
talking
a,
about Cabrillo here in San Diego.
no, no, no. I'm talking like Palos Verdes Peninsula,
Oh,
kind of
okay.
on
Because
the.
there's Cabrillo National Monument, which is on a peninsula that juts out just past like it basically points at Coronado
Oh,
effectively
interesting.
ish.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then I'm sure I probably was aware of that at some point, although I've never been diving there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something where you can get out maybe 300 meters off the beach, and you're in about 30 or 40 feet of water in a,
Oh wow.
at that time, pretty good kelp forest,
Hmm.
and you've got pretty much everything you would see in Channel Islands. Just maybe the water quality not quite as good.
Is there like a particular season? I'm not a diver actually. So what season's the best for diving in California?
In my opinion, I think probably like
Summer?
early to mid fall.
Oh, okay. So end
Yeah,
of summer. Okay.
yeah. There's not a huge variation in the water temperature,
Well, I
and
think
it
clarity probably.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So the winter time, right? It's the air temperatures,
Stormy.
water temperatures are colder,
Yeah.
but water clarity tends to be better, especially at the end of the summer. You get warmer air temperatures, maybe somewhat warmer water temperatures.
Hmm.
Dude, the water temperature in the Pacific, as you know, compared to the Atlantic,
Sure.
people
Oh,
sometimes are tripped out by that. But
yeah.
like our water here is quite cold,
Yeah.
and if you're in the water maybe late October, if the terrestrial weather is good and it's not a lot of churn from storm action,
Right.
that's when the water quality, I remember it being kind of the best, because a lot of the like the you know plankton and the tiny algae,
Hmm.
those blooms, that all would kind of clear up because the water was kind of cooling off a bit,
Yeah.
but it would still be a little bit warmer than the winter.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the
Yeah.
winter can get really cold here. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a
um,
lot of like macrofauna in the water out in the Channel Islands.
yeah.
People talk about that sometimes, but you will, if you're in the water for a while, even if you don't, like, if you do one dive and you don't see anything, that's pretty unusual, but you will almost always see sea lions, or the local harbor seals.
Oh,
I
cool.
did not see otters come close to us or anything like that, but we would get seals and sea lions, just coming swimming with our groups all the time.
Oh, cool. I've
And
camped out there actually on the Channel Islands, but
oh, that's cool.
I've never like snorkeled or dove or anything. Again, I'm not a diver, so I've never
Yeah.
dove anywhere.
Yeah, out there, man, if you're not really dialed in with like the stuff, that's not someplace I would typically recommend people just, yeah, grab fins and a snorkel and mask and
Right.
try some free diving. Nah, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's also kind of a hike to get there, but well, depending on where you live, obviously. But yeah. All right, I'm kind of interested. You hit me up, was it earlier this week or late last week about a Portugueser?
Yes. That's been on my mind lately.
Okay, I want to talk about which model, what's the spec, how did this
Uh,
come up?
so I've kind of always liked that watch, but I've never really gone there. Honestly,
Now,
that
are we
is
talking
right.
chronograph or what are we talking about?
So chronograph is what I'm talking about, but
Okay,
I think I could be persuaded for like the deck watch, basically, the time only with the sub dial.
the sub-seconds, yeah.
And by the way, I should say, if we're not talking about the pilot's watches or the dive watches, the aqua timers, I'm not dialed into the reference numbers, but I can
Yeah,
give you the
same.
description. So I'm talking
Yeah,
about like, the 41 millimeter, the basic watch with that kind of essentially a bezel-less design, right? You've
yeah, I
got
was just about to say the same. Yeah.
subdials at 12 and 6,
Yep.
really, really clean pump pushers. And I probably would want to get something. What I really would want to do is be able to see under other than store lighting. I'd love to see what the green dial looks like in real light.
Sure.
And I'm talking a modern reference. So,
Yeah, it's more
the in-house
sunburst.
movement.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be fine with the 7750. The watch I'm wearing right now is
Yep.
a 7750, movement watch. But I probably would, if we're going to spend that kind of money, I'd probably like to have the Schaffhausen pixie dust
Sure,
spread
sure.
on it.
Yeah.
But that design, that watch, and the aesthetic, I think, is something that can kind of bridge back and forth between something that I used to do, which would be, like a coat and tie or shirt sleeves and tie,
Mm-hmm.
and more, polo and chinos and stuff that is really more kind of my daily now. Now
Yeah,
that
totally.
our industry is a little more casual. and I could kind of go back and forth, and it still seems like it's just sporty enough. I love the idea of liking dress watches, Wesley. I just have no place for more than one or two in my
Oh
life.
yeah,
So
yeah,
anything dressier than that,
yeah,
I'll never wear it.
sure. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you know, or you know what you like rather, and what will get the wrist time. I mean, when you've been in the hobby as long as you have, it's like you just know yourself so well. And I think the 41 millimeter, I mean, it's virtually timeless, right? Like, I mean, the design hasn't changed. It was, I think, a late 90s initiation into the assortment. But the cool
That's
thing
about
about
right.
that watch too, that not a lot of people know, perhaps you do because you live in and around Los Angeles, but when you go to the boutique on Rodeo, there's a wall towards the back of the boutique on the right where there's a wall of dial colors. That's one of those watches that you can actually sort of customize and you can get all kinds of colors. Now, just a couple years ago was, or maybe 3 years ago now, was the Portuguese sort of year for Watches and Wonders, where they came out with like that desert, like almost sandy, champagne-y color, the black dial with the rose gold. Um, I'm blanking on what they call those colors. I should know them as an IWC head.
Yeah, no, I can picture him in my head.
Um, but yeah, and then they also introduced a few years back again, the ability to customize. So even though you might order, say, a steel case, you could get like, I don't know, um, a black dial potentially. Well, that's in catalog, but like a pale blue, right? Which is, I think, historically, pale blue is more or less a white gold case. It's kind of like the pale blue is always platinum in Rolex, you
Yeah.
know? So in IWC speak, usually a pale blue dial insinuates that the case is white gold, or at least in recent years. So that's actually a really interesting aspect of that watch too. So even though you might be into green, I want to say they may even do a mint green dial as a customizable color, which is kind of interesting.
I would look into something like that too, especially depending on the polish on the handset. I would be worried about, as much as I think it looks really cool in pictures,
Mhm.
the the darker green,
Yeah.
for the more modern references, just if there's not enough contrast for me. That is
N-
one of my things that I get hung up on.
Does that
Uh,
have gold dial furniture and hands, or is it
I
silver?
think it's just silver, I
Okay.
believe. Yeah.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
probably honestly, I probably would pick one of the lighter colored dials
Yeah.
with the, a darker contrasting hands
Hmm.
and Arabic, you know.
Numerals.
So that, yeah, that would be probably what I would go with just
Yeah, I
for
would
my
say,
my overall look.
do you have a sales associate there on Rodeo?
No.
That's
No, in fact, dude,
historically
I
been
haven't
my
been into
boutique
that
that I go
store
to.
since probably about 2010 or 2012 when I took in I had at the time I had the 3538
Okay.
aqua timer, which is the dual crown, titanium
Hmm.
kind of integrated ish
Is
with
that
the
blue and orange?
no, there was a variant of that though. That was like the Cousteau LE, but
Yeah.
this one was like a black dial with the instrument hands that they were pretty famous for, kind of the squared off
Yep.
hour hand, and then the 15-minute countdown piece, is
Okay.
rotable on an inner rotating bezel, and it was like bright yellow, like
Yeah.
visibility yellow. And so that was the sort of the colorway. It was black and yellow on titanium, and I had messed up the crown, so I had to
Oh
go in
no.
there. They treated me right in there. It was a good store. But
Cool.
otherwise, my main store for IWC has always been, or when I was kind of buying watches from the brand, was South Coast.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yep.
Um, yeah, that's cool. I mean, they've done some iterations, I guess, since 2010 or whatever.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
store
The
looks
the
very
stores
different.
look
It's
different, and
changed
it's all
twice, I
different
think,
people.
since 2010. But shout out Joyce. That's my sales associate on Rodeo, and she's awesome. So if you go in there, ask for Joyce. Um, and but the crew at South Coast is great too. Um, do you ever go to OC Chrono events?
Once in a blue moon. I know
Okay.
most of those people and like them, and they're all invited to our event next week.
Yep.
Um, when I have an opportunity midweek to go, it's just far enough that I got to plan for it.
Yeah, totally.
But I think it's probably been about a year
Yeah.
since I've.
Okay.
But I know those guys well. Like Mike
Yeah.
Hammond is a buddy. He was our
Yeah.
first guest.
Yeah. Shout out Mike. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's such a good dude. I have yet
great
to
dude.
have him on this show. I need to get him on. They have an event tonight. So I didn't know if you happen to be going, but,
Yeah, no, I'm keeping my powder dry.
okay.
Around the house, getting all of my honeydews and stuff done,
Cool.
and everything like that.
Well, speaking of aqua timers, I know there's like a few people that I've talked to who are big fans of IWC, and they're just like waiting for that category to be updated. And yeah, I believe you're one of them. What is it about that watch you love so much, or what would you want to see if you could have your druthers?
I really liked the. If I could have gone back in time, I would have probably, instead of the watch that I had. So I had a 30. Sorry, I'm going to mess this up. 3538
Hmm.
and a 3568.
Okay.
Which
See,
three
these are
five
all
six eight.
references I don't know.
Well, and somebody will probably be like, "No, dude, you got that. You're misremembering that." But the 3538 titanium black yellow, little bit smaller.
Okay.
3568 was a steel watch, definitely a little bit more full fat. This was the 44 millimeter with
Oh,
the
right.
sapphire loomed bezel, and that bezel treatment. And this was a white dial, so it was all white,
Okay.
super cool, like on black rubber. I probably would have gone backwards and picked up the 3536, either
Hmm.
in steel or titanium, which was the older reference
Hmm.
that had the same shape as the 3538, but it didn't have an inner rotating bezel. It was a conventional three-hander, single crown,
Okay.
and it had a relieved steel bezel that was kind of done in like this dark, just really industrial looking kind of finish.
Huh.
I'd love just go back to something like that. And for
Yeah.
honestly, for dive watches, I just say just put your bang on your most simple basic movement in it, the easiest to work on, whatever is most kind of, and they'll know internally which of their movement architectures are more stable under shock.
Yeah.
And just give me something super simple and something maybe that does not require a proprietary like lug system. That was
Sure.
the problem with the at least to a lot of people's thinking with some of these more recent things, where you're really kind of limited to what you can do with them. But otherwise, yeah, to me they just haven't done much with that family of watches over the years the way they
Yeah.
have with the pilots watches, which I think are now phenomenal.
Okay.
Um, and
What
the
are your picks of the pilots right now?
oh dude, you know what? I like most of them, honestly.
Cool.
Even the bigger watches. I don't know that I would necessarily do big pilot. But I think people and a lot of people who are more nerdy and into it than me have said that like the Mark 20 is kind of the perfect watch.
Mm.
I mean, it's if you want a zig where maybe a Submariner zags,
Yeah, sure.
for a watch that still has some good wrist presence and is
Hmm.
highly legible. They have decent water resistance now. The bracelets are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Build quality has always been really good, but they I didn't think the same family of watches 15 years ago didn't really have much of like a technical feature set.
Hmm.
And so even a brand like Bremont, when I was looking into an IWC pilot, I ended up going, a different direction because I just felt like there wasn't much value there. Now they're
That
great
was
watches.
15 years ago, you mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
2010,
Yeah.
2011. Now I think, if I wanted to point somebody in the direction of like a good kind of do it all watch, granted, it doesn't have a timing bezel, but just,
Hmm.
if you're into that sort of field slash Flieger
Hmm.
aesthetic,
Yeah.
man, it's really hard to beat that watch.
Yeah, I think it's a great contender as a first watch. Like
Yeah.
if somebody's looking to spend, 5, 6 grand, OP no date from Rolex or that. Yeah. I think those
Yeah.
two are great first watches.
Exactly. First watches, and for many people, normies, who want something nice and are not in a position to kind of do the Rolex game. It used to be 20, 30 years ago, dude, even 10 years ago. If you had one nice watch, if you're just a normal middle-aged dude, you
Hmm.
probably would save up a few bucks and you could just go buy a Submariner.
Yeah, not
Most of us
now.
can't do that anymore,
10
but yeah,
grand.
it's to me, that's the thing where, if you're only going to have one nice watch, you could
Yeah.
make a really good case for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Still, it's almost double the price though of a Mark 20. But um,
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Mark 20 is an alternative.
oh,
Somebody who's
sure,
going to
sure, sure. Yeah, yeah,
want
yeah,
one good watch and they don't really have like a track record and an AD. I wouldn't even advise anybody to try to play that game. Just
yeah.
go to the IWC boutique.
Well, and the cool thing about the Mark 22, not to just be on a like a sales rant for IWC, but it's kind of like it's really cool because there's dial variations, right? Like there's
Right.
black, there's white, there's green, there's now blue, with the re-release this year of the Le Petit Prince, which I just love that shade of blue, frankly. It's a little deeper and just it's really, really beautiful. It's like kind of a perfect blue.
Yeah, I like that one a lot too. And blue is one that works very well on that dial with that handset.
Yep.
Green on that watch looks a little gimmicky, but pretty cool.
I
If
can't
you
remember.
want to,
Did they do the Portugueser in La Petite Prince? They've done big pilots. They've done pilot chronos. They've
I know
done the
we should
Mark
know
20.
that, right?
Yeah,
But I really don't know. I
that's
don't
one
want to
of the
say yes.
references that I'm not even sure if they did that one or not. I
There,
can't
because there's a
remember actually.
Portofino now too, right?
La Petite Prince?
Yeah.
I actually don't know. I'm gonna Google this.
I thought they did like a capsule collection of the Little Prince, like in the past few months.
Um, I'm gonna look it up now.
Yeah, take a look.
Um, okay, so there's the 41 millimeter pilot chronograph. There's that one. Oh, you know what? I think I just clicked it. There's the Mark 20, and also there's like a rose gold Mark 20 with blue dial, which is beautiful.
Nice.
Then there's the 36 millimeter pilot. There's the Pilot 43. There's also the white ceramic Pilot 41, which is awesome. I am not. Oh, there is a Portofino. It's got a like a sun and moon phase at six
Yeah,
o'clock.
that's what
That's
I think
really
I remember.
interesting.
And
That's
that's another watch, Wesley, by the way. I think you have some
diamond
history with the
indices.
Portofino where I've never been interested, and all of a sudden the interest button got pushed.
Which
Suddenly the
model?
aesthetic clicks with me. Oh, any of them. I'm
Oh,
talking
all
about
of the
kind of the
Portofinos.
design language, right? With the kind of the leaf handset,
Leaf hands. Yep.
and the a little bit more kind of elegant, curvaceous kind of case shape
Yeah.
instead of.
That was my first watch, as you may or may not know,
I
is the
think I've
Portofino
heard
chronograph
somebody
black dial.
interviewing you draw that out of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm obsessed with that watch. Um, I still own it. Actually, I just recently switched the strap on it. So it's now on like a Molequin black alligator, but it's matte. Whereas like the OEM strap is like it's not a glossy black, but it's like almost like a semi-gloss. If you want to talk about paint,
Yeah.
it's not eggshell. It's not gloss. It's like a semi-gloss. And honestly, the more matte on it it makes the watch look more expensive, actually, I think.
I can see that. And I know what you mean by the different finishes. I have somewhere in my, I've got a box with a bunch
Mhm.
of bags with a bunch of straps. And somewhere in there I've got a couple of like the OEM IWC, I think they're the like buffalo leather.
Oh, sure.
And
Yeah.
you're right. They're not dull, and they're
Hmm.
not they're not like a high sheen like a crocodile or alligator or something like that.
Right.
Um, yeah. So one of these days I'm going to have to find somebody with a 22 millimeter lug width IWC. I've got one of the straps that they did, I think, in combination with some Italian boot or shoemaker years ago.
Santorini.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a really cool kind of
Or
like a tiger stripe
Santoni.
pattern.
Santoni, not
That's it.
Santorini.
I think
Santoni.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they're
that's
really
one of
well
those.
known for like their burnishing. They're like hand burnishing on leather, usually
Oh
on
yeah,
the
it's
toes.
gorgeous. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
beautiful stuff.
orange, on the interior, and then I apologize. Hang on,
That's okay.
I'm gonna
It's all
just mute
good.
myself because this is my office phone and I can't turn it off. Hang on.
It's like a landline. Oh, that's amazing. I'll just insert some elevator music right now. But you know what's funny is like I've never owned a Santoni strap before. Because my Portofino chronograph didn't come with one, but historically, I think it is the Portugueser that would almost always come with a Santoni strap. Um,
Wouldn't surprise me. Well, I mean, if you've got anything that's, again, I think it's 22 mil. I'll I bought that to put on just to see. Like, I got a couple of these IWC sort of pilot adjacent straps
okay.
to wear on a Martin Baker 2.
Oh, sweet.
And it's like the look didn't really stick. It wasn't quite there, but I still have the straps and they're excellent. So
Oh,
one of
that's
these days I'll
awesome.
have to find a home, or I'll have to buy a watch that works on them.
So, what's the likelihood that the Portugueser will enter the chat for real?
I honestly probably pretty high. Whether it would be
Cool.
this year or not,
Okay.
kind of remains to be seen. I'm at a point now where I don't know that I necessarily want to save and keep adding. I probably need to, like a lot of us. I'm at a phase where I probably need to start thinning out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll probably move a few things to do that, as opposed to just adding another eight or $10,000 item
Yeah.
to the
Buy less,
box.
buy better kind of approach. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
like
yeah,
just
yeah.
scale back, consolidate. I think there's so many of us that are doing it right now. Um,
Yeah, I haven't been able to do it yet, but eventually I think I can, get to that headspace where I can do it. I've done it before, where once you let like the first one or two things go,
yeah.
it gets real easy. And then at some point I got to a place where I was like, wait, what have I done? I'm like down to like two or three things I'm
Well,
gonna
the
have to
other thing
rebuild.
too is like so when I consolidated 2 years ago, it was I just opened my watch boxes at the time, and it was really just kind of there was a lot of redundancy. So I feel like if you have a lot of redundancies and you could reduce it into something that's either very different or just like a much better or grail status version of the redundancies, then I think it's the right move because I also understand the want and desire to like collect a certain thing. Like it could be dive watches. For me, it was chronographs. But I was like, well, I mean, it's cool that I have a bunch of different chronographs, but I had three 41 millimeter pilot chronographs from IWC. I was like, do I really need three of these things? You know, now granted, they were technically all different, right? One was a blue dial, one was a stainless case black dial, and one was like the Ceratanium black dial. And it was just kind of like, okay, first of all, the stainless case black dial is like whenever I would wear that, I could wear the tribute to 3705. So like I wouldn't, because they're both black, right? The blue dial is actually one of the only ones I miss. I think I've said this ad nauseum on this podcast, but I think if you're going to trade in a bunch of dive watches for like your Grail 50 fathoms, do it. Because every time you look down at that 50 fathoms, like I doubt you're going to miss the other ones because this is like the one, right?
Yeah.
Or get something completely different. Keep your favorite that gets the most wrist time of the dive watches and then trade in all those dive watches for the Portuguese or chronograph.
Yeah, I think something like that is probably going to happen where, do like a two or three into one consolidation.
Totally.
I'm If there's a theme, which I guess there isn't, but if there's a type of watch that I do gravitate toward, not, we've already kind of alluded to it, right? It's dive watches. And that probably always will be, but I have sort of unintentionally become a bit of a chronograph person too.
Yeah.
And I find myself um going in that direction more, not really because of the chronograph complication being something I'm wanting to collect, but just things that I'm interested in tend to be in that configuration. So I
Yeah.
would get, and we'll go back to the Portugueser, but like the 40 the deck watch, the three hander, well, I guess, two hands and a subdial, however you put that, three hander
Sure.
nominally is right. I think it's a little less expensive. It's a little smaller. I'm a pretty skinny dude, so a little smaller is probably better. But it's a completely different, like, overall aesthetic package
Hmm.
that is appealing to me. But I think the chronograph is just a little better, the way they kind of, the lines of the case.
Mm.
And so for me, I would probably wear the chronograph, honestly, like just a regular, time only watch.
I will say the
Um,
time only watch is, I think it's thick for what it is. Whereas with the chronograph, the thickness is appropriate, let's say.
Yeah, and there's a little bit the case profile, especially at the top, if you're looking at it kind of in plan form, where
Hmm.
you can kind of see underneath, or you're looking level with the bottom,
Hmm.
surface, the case back.
Hmm.
You can see kind of the top, get a little bit of that dome, right? That light dome, but there's that little sort of outward, dish,
Yeah.
like it's a bit of a hull shape that the
Hmm.
where the crystal is slightly larger, probably in diameter than the case,
Right.
and that line to create that sort of dish shape
Hmm.
interrupts the height of the watch quite a bit. And so
Yeah.
visually, even though I think it is maybe slightly thicker, because you're right, the deck watch is pretty thick.
And yeah,
um
and I mean that's the major gripe. Like if they did that watch in a 38 millimeter, it would be absolutely exquisite. But because it's 40 and thick, it just it kind of interrupts the flow of it being sort of a dress watch when by all intents and purposes, like if you voted for the rose gold case with the black dial, that is one hell of an elegant looking piece, but it's just too big. Like big and elegant are almost contrary to one another, you know?
yeah, that's a wrist presence watch. I think
Yeah.
people where it, much the same way I think certain people who probably would be happy and well suited with a Submariner,
Mm-hmm.
but if they have the money and they want that, I don't know, I don't want to use the word flex because that kind of
No, I get it.
implies
Yeah.
motivation. But I mean, if you could just as easily, or for somebody who could just as easily get like a deep sea,
Yeah.
they'd probably would opt for the deep sea, because that's the thing
Oof.
that looks
A
cool, or
honker of
it's
a
it's
wash.
more of a
Yeah.
statement piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I
Yep.
think we definitely need to talk about Spirit of Time. And how many episodes have you done?
It's over 100. I think we're next episode, I think, is going to be like maybe 110.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it
Congrats.
was it was much more active in the first, I'd say, 4 years.
Okay.
But with Greg's kind of change of job,
Okay.
but we've sort of reconstituted things with the podcast where Greg is like not replaced at all. But I've got a couple of actually guests and sort of local friends, one of whom, by the way, you have to meet. Do you know Drake Moore?
I don't. Wait.
Count Sunny Hours, that guy?
No, 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 no. I was thinking of somebody else. No, no,
Okay.
I've
Well,
never met him, I don't
we've
think.
got to hook you up because he's a motorsport guy and a motorcycle guy,
Cool.
and he's one of those that's kind of confined himself to like six or seven pieces and
Nice.
really lives
Respect.
within. And yeah, exactly. But great dude. But he's got a Joe job, but he's a creative at heart and he's constantly looking to do stuff. So I reached
Cool.
out to him and some other people that we've had on or that we had relationships with, and just
Hmm.
kind of we've got a loose consortium of like contributors. And I've done episodes with each of the three of them over the past 2 months or so. And we just want
Hmm.
to keep that kind of loose rotation going.
When did it start exactly? Like, when did you launch your first episode?
Oh, dude, it was like everybody else, man. It was we were
COVID?
me and Greg. Yeah, exactly. We were sort of missing the in person connection. Greg and some of the guys locally were pretty dialed into LA Watch Gang and doing
Yeah.
those meetups.
Hmm.
And then some of the like the spinoffs. We had something in Pasadena that was I would say it was probably a Chase. I don't know if you know Chase Kaufman, Horology 411.
I think so.
Um,
It's funny, all the handles, right? You know?
Yeah, exactly. But so I give him his props. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a watch podcast before the Grey NATO,
Oh, wow.
and he used to do a Breakfast Club get together in Pasadena, and
Cool.
so we'd be there. But when COVID landed on us, we didn't really have the ability to get together. So Greg and I, we live pretty close together, and we're like, hey, we're close enough that we can work together if we need to on stuff
Yep.
and still be safe. Why don't we do a pod?
Yeah.
And we'll have our friends on, and local people, and it'll be basically an excuse to do stuff. We're both business. I'm a business school guy, and like, okay, we drew up one plan for like the hobbyist version, and then another plan like if we want to take it further and monetize, like what steps do we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
We never really executed on that particular part of it, just because it's always been more of a hobby for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it started. And it was one of those things where because we were working from home, it was pretty easy to just put a pin in the work, at 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
and maybe just have like literally like a happy hour podcast with a guest, or just talking about some topic,
Yeah.
at 4 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah.
And we could record every week or 2 weeks, and it was fun.
That's
Still
great.
is. Yeah.
You mentioned Breakfast Club, which I think is great. What's your favorite breakfast spot in Pasadena?
Oh man, well, one of them used to be, just because it's classic. The food was okay, but was Dupar's.
Okay.
And if you know Dupar's, there was a couple of them, right? I think L.A. Farmers Market,
Yep.
La Brea area. That's kind of the one a lot of people know. So they had one in Pasadena. Um, there's a spot. The name is escaping me. If you want to give me 2 seconds, there's another really good kind of old timey diner on Fair Oaks,
Cool.
just north of Colorado. All the SoCals listening to this are screaming the name
I
at
can't
their
think. I mean, I
steamboat
lived in Eagle
right
Rock
now.
for 5 years and I can't think of it, but I know exactly where Fair Oaks is. And I'll tell you what, I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico 3 weekends ago, something like that.
Yeah,
And oh my God, I had the best like diner style breakfast I've ever had in my life, or especially outside of New York City.
yeah.
It's in
It's
Santa Fe.
Russell's, by the way.
Russell's. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
And it's still there.
it is. Oh
Okay,
yeah,
sweet.
yeah, yeah. It
Because
is
like
there. Last
once in a
year,
blue moon, like when I go up to LA, it's like sometimes I'll get up there early, and if forever, like for some reason I'm on the east side, like sometimes I'll jam up there really early. Like I'll leave my house at 6 a.m. or something. And if it's like before 9 or 10 or something, sometimes I'm like craving breakfast and I'm like, I'd love to just like hit up a good breakfast in Pasadena at some point.
oh dude, yeah, that's definitely going to be one of the best. Conventional breakfasts. So it's not themed in any way. You and I met for brunch once at the Raymond. That was awesome.
That place was smacking. Like it was so good. And I think you had just taken delivery of the Tudor GMT, right?
You
Didn't
know
you?
what? I don't
Didn't you have or were you borrowing it?
know. It was something. I think maybe I wore that watch. I
It was
remember
like
you
the
had just
like
gotten the
the
Doxa,
the
and
Coke style bezel, right?
well, I did that mod last year. Don't tell Cole Pennington, but I did do that steel reef mod. So I changed it from, dude, maybe it was. Maybe it was.
I think you had just gotten it.
Yeah, it could be.
That's what I remember anyway.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I tried on your Doxa 200T, and that's kind of what put the hook in me. It's
Yep.
like, man, this really is very wearable.
Yeah.
Um, and just it took a while. It was a slow burn. I borrowed a few watches from people from Drake, and
Okay.
check some things out.
Sure.
But yeah, that's Russell's would be my choice. Right there, kind of in the heart of Old Town Pasadena. I took Balash there last year when he came up for our event last year, and that
So
was
I'm
like a
just
good
saving
like
Russell's
sit
on my
down.
map.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, amazing. Well, that's cool. What do you find that you're wearing most these days? Like what do you have on right now?
So I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah. Oh, that
Speaking
looks
of
like
Omega and chronographs,
is this what year is
this
this
is
watch?
so I want to say this is 1994. They
I was
only
gonna
made
say
this
this
for
looks
like
like a 90s watch for sure.
maybe 2 years. Yeah, so this is the Seamaster chronograph. It's the Bond era Seamaster, but it is they only made this for a short time. So this is the tri-metal. It's the reference 22. Oh man, I'm gonna mess this up. 2297, 2298.
Dude, I
2296.
mean this in the most positive way possible, but this looks like a watch that you would have bought on vacation while in like the Virgin Islands in the
Oh, this
90s.
is 100%. And this is what I love about it is A, it's so unusual, but it's also so weird. It's attractive. Like it's so ugly.
Right.
So this is it's the 41 millimeter dive chrono 7750, movement, but it does
Yeah.
not have, it's a slightly modified because it does not have the date. It's just the date.
Yeah.
And it's the one that they executed, like the base metal for the case and the bracelet is titanium. And then it's rose gold and tantalum throughout. Like this thing is
Wow.
heavy. Just and
I tell you what, that looks killer on you. Like that's a
it's
really great watch on your wrist, like size wise. I think it looks really nice.
people think these, so this was a real um like revelation for me. I've been looking for this watch for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, probably at least 5 years. We did an episode, again, speaking of Spirit of Time,
Sure.
a few years ago where we called out, we did a series of them, like our favorite watches from different decades. And when Greg and we sort of rotated, like we challenged, I don't know if you ever listened to his podcast, but he was pretty big during COVID too. Do you remember the meme artist Brodinky?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah, so Brodinky had a podcast and some other friends of ours, and we would kind of back channel share topic ideas, and we all rotated through the idea of what are our favorite watches from certain decades.
Okay.
We drew straws for decades, and me and Greg got the 90s. And this was one that I called out as like my favorite, is something that just absolutely screams 1990s.
Yeah.
And I had been aware of this watch for some time because I like that sort of Seamaster 300
Sure.
aesthetic,
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
it's the
totally.
GoldenEye one or the newer one, or, and I had one of the newest ones.
Hmm.
Love those watches. And I thought this would be a really cool kind of, side path to explore. Very hard to find. There's, usually one or two or maybe three for sale at any given time, but some of them are kind of knackered. Some of them are really far away.
Okay.
And, sometimes depending on the price of gold, they're overly expensive for what they are.
What did that thing
And
retail for? Do you remember?
I have no idea. And
Okay.
because, yeah, in the early 90s, I mean, by modern standards, probably not a lot.
So what did you pay for that one? Do you mind me asking?
In the fours.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. 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 Low fours.
I mean, you got tantalum. It might as well be a chronometric blue, right?
I mean, you know, it's basically the same watch, dude. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Same. Yeah. You got it in the fours, right
it's
price,
got it's got a blue dial.
So,
It's,
so much overlap. So much
there's
overlap.
waves on it. Yeah, totally. But it's so if you think of like that golden eye, blue dial, blue bezel,
Yeah,
three
totally.
hand time and date Seamaster, if that's the Bond watch, this has been referred to as like the Bond villain watch.
Oh, funny.
So I think I did not discover this until after I got the watch, but somebody was telling me, hey, Tim Mosso did a long, well, for him, a long video
Sure.
on this.
Over 60 seconds.
Yeah, dude, probably like 7 minutes or 12 minutes,
Yeah, it
longer,
wasn't a
longer than
1 minute
most.
watch review.
Yeah, and he calls it out as like the Bond villain watch, and the particular villain he associates with it, and it's bang on accurate, is Largo. So if you know who
Sick.
Amelia Largo is, right, from Thunderball, it's a dive watch, and
God, what an encyclopedia Tim is. I love
dude,
that guy.
I totally, I am gonna hit you up for an introduction eventually. I would love to talk to that guy about his time in the Navy. He
Well,
brushes over it.
yeah, I don't know why. I mean, if I'm going to put words in the horse's mouth, I mean, maybe it has something to do with like security clearance or something. Maybe he can't talk about it. I don't know. I'm actually due to see him in like 3 weeks. Um, I'm going to, or no, a month. It's like a month from today, actually. I'm going to be in Philadelphia, so we're going to get together.
Well, dude, yeah, let him know who I am, and that he's one of the few people that I kind of want to know in our hobby space that I don't know yet.
You should get
And
him on your show. That's easy.
yeah, that would be a fun like virtual hang with
Yeah.
that dude, because
Yeah.
he's, as you say, it's not just that he's an encyclopedia, but that he has like such a like rapid fluency and
Oh,
the
the
ability to kind
the
of
the
put,
random access memory is sharp.
right, Right. It's yeah, it's not just that he knows the stuff, but he can articulate it like on the fly. I get the sense that probably most of his videos are one take, first take.
Oh, they are. No,
Yeah,
they
isn't that crazy?
absolutely are.
Yeah.
Like it's just like he just like I don't even know if he studies like right before. I think he may or may not just like when I recorded with him. So we did a collector's conversation in Philadelphia. God knows that's going on 2 years ago at least. I think.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember listening to at least one that you did with him.
yeah. Well, so I mean, he's been on my show, but I was on his show, I guess, in Philly for the 1916 company. So that's on YouTube for those who care. Go check it out. It was, yeah, it would have been 2 years ago because it hosted the Longo one, and I got that 2 years ago, so that makes sense. Um, it was one take to film that video. He didn't look at any notes. He didn't look at it. There was no note card in front of him, no phone, no nothing. We just like sat down, recorded it, and then they took some B-roll. Like it, and that was actually something that I stood up from the table after taping, and I just like walked over to the camera guy, and I was just like, because I think Tim had to like leave and answer like a question that somebody in the office had for him. So he was out of the room and they were just asking me like, "So, did you enjoy that? Was that fun?" And I was just like, I am borderline speechless right now because of his ability to tap into details of these pieces, historical references perhaps. Just like I mean it was like mind-boggling like how good and again to use your word the fluency like it's just ridiculous. It's remarkable, really.
Yeah, he's definitely like an odd creature in that regard, in the best possible way, right? I mean, he's
Well,
just
he's a
talk
one of
about
one.
like
Yes.
true, like well, not literally true, but figuratively true kind of savant,
I no, I
in
think
our
you're
arena.
bang on. Yeah. I think savant is completely appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy. All
that's
right,
the deal.
what's up what's the updates with the car situation? What are we driving daily?
Oh, dude, yeah, you don't you don't want to be talking to me about that. I'm like the least. I would love to get back into that. I think I've told you this before. It's like I cry when I think about it. But my first car is like now is an absolute classic, but at the time it was not. And I had a 1976 BMW 2002.
So sick.
And it was really cool. I would love to have that back, but I'm not as I'm interested in cars from like a motorsport perspective, but not necessarily owning and project cars and stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
Dude, I have appliances. I mean, I have an old but extremely strong Toyota Highlander that my younger daughter drives, or I should say my older daughter. Just kind of funny because she's like 4'11" and like 95 pounds, and this is a fairly big car, for
Well,
her.
you always find this. It's always these tiny women who drive these huge cars, and then you'll find somebody who's 6'7" driving a Miata. Like it's just, it's the way of the
It's
world.
funny, just as you started to say that, the picture that popped into my mind. Do you know who Ed O'Neill is? Married
Yes.
with children.
Yeah,
Like
of course.
that's a pretty big dude. He drives a
Yeah.
Miata.
Does he?
Yeah, that's or at least that's I've seen multiple credible reports that that's like his thing. Maybe not his only car, but like
If
that's his enthusiast car, and he's a big dude.
it's funny you say married with children because there's also Modern Family. Like he's
Of
had two
course.
of these like family shows that were just like utter successes. And what's funny is in Modern Family, my wife and I will watch that like intermittently, like if we're just like between shows or something and we just like want something that isn't serious. So we'll flip that on. His watch game in that show is pretty strong. Like I'm pretty
Oh, it's
sure
very
it's
good.
he's got like a Zenith Daytona, like the one I have, the white dial. And then I'm pretty if it's not a Zenith, it's maybe like the first in-house, but it's a steel bezel. And then I think he'll wear a Submariner from time to time. And you're always just like, man, this guy is yeah. I wonder if they're his real watches from real life or if they were like set pieces or something. I'm not sure.
I have to think there probably are. Just to your point, I've watched that show, right?
Yeah.
And he does have an excellent game. I want to say, either hard to see if it's date just or day date.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Yeah.
but I've seen those, right? He's got Panerais. Yeah, yeah, that's a cool show for watch spotting. But anyway,
Yeah.
to take us back around, yeah,
To the
I
cars.
Yeah, we have the old Toyota.
Sweet. Great
The
car, by the way. Camry platform, drives like a dream.
Dude, it's yeah, mechanically it's very good, and maybe it's funny when I drive something more modern. And again, my other kind of daily, I just have a like a Toyota RAV4 hybrid.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Um, Good car for what I need it to do, like road warrior duties, and then a
Those were
little
hard to
bit.
find in COVID, by the way.
Oh yeah, very.
Yeah.
Yeah, super super hard to find.
Because we had a
And
bunch
then
of friends who had kids, and that was like the go-to kid mobile. And
oh
like no
totally.
one could
Yeah, very
find one.
good mileage. Long distance driving pretty good as long as you're not doing like a lot of hills and a lot of high and hot. Is the battery doesn't necessarily like that over a long period of time. Like taking it to Mammoth, it's just about like, okay, I'm done. By the time you
Yeah.
get up the hill,
Yeah. Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
down is easy. Um, but or going over the Grapevine, like you're just about out of juice. Like by the time you're getting to Gorman, but by the time you're at the bottom of the hill again, you're like, I'm charged.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I love the
that and then
appliance analogy. Because
we
somebody
have a CX5. Yeah.
somebody told me they were like, "Oh yeah, it's a refrigerator. It's great when it's full. It's awful when it's empty."
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, it's all very very utilitarian. If I had the money to just have and I say money, but realistically, it's probably, my house is 100 years old and I live in a neighborhood, that is not zoned for garages. Like
Right.
literally,
Okay.
I have a carriage house, a detached, that's what
Yeah.
they call it. It's basically a little wagon shed, that has a
Okay.
tilt up garage door,
Yep.
but it's not permitted in the neighborhood to be a garage door. When I redid my house a few years ago, the city, not only would they not let me widen my driveway apron because it's single wide,
Uh,
but they were like, yeah, we're going to make you redo the front, facade of your carriage house because you're not supposed to have a tilt up door. It's not a garage. And they let me slide on it, but I have nowhere to put, a fourth vehicle basically.
okay. Got it.
But if I did, yeah, money's no object, dude. I'm getting an RS6 Avant.
Oh,
Yeah, you can keep
amen.
Porsches and stuff like that. Just I'll I I'm fine with an appliance. It's just going to be really really fast.
Yeah. Well, so the RS6 Avant, God, I wish they would just bring the RS4 Avant back in a manual, which they won't now because it's all going to be like DSG or whatever. And,
Which are
whatever.
still good.
But
I've
God
driven the
knows, man.
RS4 Avant with at the time I think that was when they had just kind of brought over what did Porsche call it back in the day? Tiptronic?
It was Tiptronic, yes.
Yeah, so
And then it moved over to PDK for Porsche, but then it was DSG for
yeah,
Volkswagen.
that what yeah, direct shift something.
Dual shift gearbox, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I had a like an S line S4 Avant, A4 Avant.
Sick.
So not the big motor,
Right.
but like
But
the kind of
the six cylinder,
yep. And at one
or it
point
might have been a turbo four, actually.
it was a turbo 4.
Yeah.
And at one point it was in the shop for a safety recall like on a seat switch or something like that.
Okay. Okay.
And they did something wrong with it to make it up with me on the install. So I had to bring it back, and to make it up, they were like, "Hey, leave the car for a couple of days. We'll fix it. We'll just put it in line. But in the meantime, you can take the shop mule car, which was the actual big motor,
Really?
yeah, RS4." And so I got to drive that thing around, and that thing was like scary loud in my neighborhood.
That's
It was like,
sick.
you turn that thing on, and holy cow!
I love
So
that.
yeah, that would be great if they brought that back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a market for it for sure. I mean, I don't think they've had trouble selling the RS6, and I think they've been selling the RS6 because that's the only RS wagon that they've offered, and that's $130,000 minimum,
Yeah,
before options.
everything has gone to kind of the Q platform or the Q styles. It's basically a bubble car,
Yep.
and that's fine. But I think you have almost all of the functionality in the regular estate silhouette. Just give me the car looking car and not the crossover looking car.
Two streets down from me, there's a silver A4 Avant, just like regular, just I don't even know, probably the 2 liter 4 cylinder. It's silver over black, and I see it in the driveway every day. And I'm like, I want to almost, it's like, I don't know, probably a 2014, 2012. It's like, I love that era. And yeah, I'm like out on walks with my daughter with the stroller, and I'm just kind of like I'm inching closer and closer to like leaving a card on the windshield, being like, do you want to sell this to me? We've never met, but I want your car, you know?
Hey, that's the kind of thing that, pays dividends, because that's going to put the idea in somebody's head. If they've had it for a long time, they're probably not going to sell it, but
Yeah.
uh, you never know.
It's parked there a lot. So I say that to mean there can't be a ton of miles on it. I don't see it move a lot, in other words,
Yeah,
which could also mean trouble, right?
maybe,
But
right? Maybe.
the thing
But
about that era, though, like even though I find them to be visually appealing, the maintenance on those was kind of a mother. It's it's pricey.
yeah, all of that stuff at the end of the day, that's what I kind of come back to. I'm just maybe a little too practical in my own head.
Yeah, I
Where
just don't want to throw money at the problem.
Right, yeah. You know what I probably would really like, and they made one for a little while, but just give me like an Acura version of a wagon.
Yeah.
The kind of the mid-size sedan, turn it into an estate car. Little kind of that funky sort of Japanese kind of visual styling.
Yep. That's
A
funny.
little bit bigger motor.
Did you ever see the Lexus IS wagon? Did you ever see that car?
Yeah, the from like 20 years ago, like
Yeah.
real kind of
Yes.
small.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see them from time to time.
Those are cool. They're just
That is one of those things that would be
it's
fun
kind
at
of
Bring a
ugly
Trailer.
cool. It's kind of like your watch. It's just
Yeah,
ugly cool,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly, exactly. Yeah,
Like
like
I love it
a
because it's
square back
so just like
Volkswagen, right?
totally. Yeah. That's
Yep,
awesome.
it's so ugly, it's pretty. Yeah, that would be probably, my I won the lottery car.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
Well, you
yeah,
got to
I'm
get
good
a
to go.
2002 then.
I might do that too. Dude, that was
Yeah.
a 4-speed manual though. You're working a lot in that car. In LA traffic, you're
Sure.
earning your keep.
Yeah, but on a Saturday morning, you just go out and have fun.
Yeah, that could be
If you
cool.
won the lottery, you may not be working, so you're not really in traffic a lot.
Yeah, maybe not. Or I'm living up in the Central Coast.
Yeah, there you
And
go. Yeah,
yeah,
you're just flying by vines.
totally. Dude, you know what? We should that would be a great like SoCal watch community like weekend escape.
Yeah, we should
Get about
totally do that.
10
There's
or
a
15
great
people and
hotel up there that I'm dying to stay at.
do a
Um,
rally.
what's the name of that hotel? I don't know if I should share it
What's
because I don't want it to become too popular.
is it in Paso or Atascadero
I
or
think it's Paso, yeah. Um, shoot. What is it called?
well, tell me offline.
Um, well, yeah, because I can't tell you right now because I actually, or San Ynez maybe. What is it? No, that's not it. Shoot, I can't find it anyway. I don't want to waste people's time.
All right,
But
that's fine.
well, Matt, thanks for joining me on today's show. Little do people know we do talk fairly frequently, so this one was I had almost no notes. I knew this would be a very easy conversation to have.
Well, dude,
So
I appreciate it. I remember at one point we talked a few weeks ago. I was like, dude, do you really want to have me on? I mean, I'm not a big deal, but at the same time,
uh,
I really appreciate the fact that you were kind enough to make time to come on our show a couple of years back. And
yeah,
you're a
of
great
course,
dude. Yeah,
man.
you're absolutely a great hang.
Thank you,
And I think
brother.
one of the cool people here
Thank
in
you,
the Southern
sir.
California scene.
Yeah, well, likewise. Happy to have you on. You're welcome back anytime, frankly. So I'm sorry it took so long.
Oh, dude, all good, man.
I owe you an apology, frankly. So
That's all right.
um,
You can make it up to me by coming next year to the Chrono 24 Spirit of Time.
okay, quickly, how did that partnership come up? How did you get on board with Chrono 24? That's a big deal.
You know what? We're friends with Balash, and
Okay.
Balash is one of the contributors at Fratello.
Yep.
It is not an owned by situation, but there's
Okay.
some kind of shared at a higher level of like ownership and investment. There's
I
some
see.
overlap between Fratello and Chrono 24,
Got it.
and Balash's day job is working in like market engagement for
Okay.
them.
Got it.
And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think they began a project when they sort of relaunched Chrono 24 about 2 years ago
Hmm.
to have some kind of like outreach. In my industry, we would call it market shaping. Where there's some personal involvement in established communities. So I think they've had stuff in London and in Germany and in New
Cool.
York,
Wow.
and they're working, with established groups in New York and in Miami. And for Southern California, they wanted to have like a West Coast kind of presence,
Okay.
but not be tied to a group, but rather, have their entree to this area, like physically, to
Hmm.
be a couple people who are tied in to a bunch of groups and to know people who are connected to different groups, and to frankly have something that is a little more casual. I'm sure you go to the big events, right, in New York and in Miami, and that's pretty organized and
Yeah.
focused, and
Yeah.
frankly, I don't know how to put this without making it sound like a pejorative, which is not what I mean, but it's a little more swank,
Sure.
and maybe not as accessible for a garden variety collector. Even somebody who's kind of well heeled and has an impressive collection
Yeah, I get
is
that.
probably not going to get invited to Rolly Fest. um and that's the kind of like event that they did not want to have in Southern California. Not to
I
say that
see.
any of their other events are like that, but I think specifically they wanted something that was literally like, well, my aesthetic, like, jeans and a Hawaiian shirt at a
Yeah.
brewery,
Yep.
with pizza, and, people who've been friends through a variety of different groups, kind of overlapping and different kind of interests. And we'll
Hmm.
have some like baller, modern, full gold, like last year. I mean, there was a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Higher end pieces. And
Sweet.
then, there's people like me that collect like, old vintage Seiko, or, modern Tudor, or if, Mike Heyman, I mean, every couple of years he has kind of a theme shift,
Hmm.
and, he's got stuff. Serge, the Resplorer, he's got one of the most like completest collection of cool old Seiko and Citizen watches. And
Cool.
he shows up with these things that even Nick Farrell from DC Vintage is like, oh my God, where did you get that?
Yeah.
People, if they know who that is, right? Nick Farrell
Yeah,
at DC
sure.
Vintage, he's tapped into all the old Seiko stuff.
Yep.
And, these are the people that are coming to this event. So it's the sort of thing where it stands alone. It's just like a once a year kind of come in,
Sure.
shake hands, say hi to everybody. It's not a big branding exercise. There's not a presentation. There's not a bunch of signage.
Right, right.
It's just, hey, this is who we are.
Good hangs. Good hangs.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
Exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, Matt, thanks again for taking the time, buddy. I'll let you go. And yeah, we'll obviously see and or talk very soon.
Totally, dude. Well, I'm going to just keep buying shirts from you. So
Well, that's greatly appreciated, brother. Thank you.
we'll always have standard age.
That's right. Thanks, man.
Right on. Take
Talk
care, bud.
soon. Okay, bye.
See ya.